CFA Level 2 Economics পড়ছি, the chapter Currency Exchange Rates, Understanding Equilibrium Value. So far we have just covered the Mundell-Fleming model. So Mundell-Fleming model has some limitations, and we'll be focusing on the monetary models of exchange rate determination in this segment. So what happened in the Mundell-Fleming model? In the Mundell-Fleming model, the monetary policy is transmitted to the exchange rate through its impact on interest rates and output. So according to Mundell-Fleming model, the monetary policy transmission towards exchange rate, that happens to the impact of interest rates and output. But the Mundell-Fleming model assumes changes in price level and or inflation rate play no role. So according to Mundell-Fleming model, the changes in the price level or inflation has no role, but the monetary models of exchange rate determination take the opposite perspective. So according to monetary models of exchange rate determination, output is fixed. So output is fixed, and the monetary model affects the exchange rate primarily through the price level and the rate of inflation. So we are assuming that the output is fixed. So whenever there is a money supply, and that policy affects the exchange rates through the price level and the rate of inflation. So according to the monetary approach, an X% rise in domestic money supply will produce an X% rise in domestic price level. Quantity theory of money ওই same কথা বলে. So if we increase the X% rise in domestic money supply, so that will produce X% rise in domestic price level. So if we assume that the purchasing power parity holds, so according to the monetary models, that changes in the exchange rates reflect changes in the relative inflation rates. What does it mean? It means if a money supply induced increase in domestic price level, so when there is a money supply induced increase in domestic price level relative to foreign price level, so the proportional there will be a proportional decrease in the domestic currencies value. As we remember, in the purchasing power parity model, so exchange rate changes in the exchange rate will be explained by inflation differential between two countries. So assuming purchasing power parity hold, a money supply induced increase in domestic price relative to foreign prices should lead to proportional depreciation in the domestic currencies value. So however, there is a major shortcomings of the pure monetary approach. So the shortcoming is that we are assuming purchasing power parity holds, but in reality the purchasing power parity rarely holds in the short to medium run. So according to the pure monetary model, it may not provide a realistic explanation of the impact of monetary forces on the exchange rate, because we in the pure monetary model we are assuming that the purchasing power parity holds, and we are assuming that purchasing power parity holds both in the short run and long runs. But in reality, in the short run, purchasing power parity rarely holds, but in the long run it might hold. So it may not give a realistic explanation of the impact of monetary forces on the exchange rates. So to rectify the problem of monetary model, Dornbusch provided modified monetary models, and that modified monetary models, in that modified monetary models, it is assumed that prices have limited flexibility in the short run. So in the short run, prices have limited flexibility, but they are fully flexible in the long run. So the shortcomings of the pure monetary model was that purchasing power parity holds both in the short and long term, but in reality purchasing power parity rarely holds in the short to medium term. And Dornbusch constructed a modified version of the monetary model, and he assumed that prices have limited flexibility in the short run but fully flexible in the long run. So the long run flexibility of the price level ensures that an increase in the domestic money supply will give rise to to proportional increase in the domestic price levels, and that will contribute to a depreciation of domestic currency in the long run. And this goes with the pure monetary model that said if money supply increases, price level increases, and there will be proportional decrease in the currency exchange rate. However, if the domestic price level is assumed to be inflexible in the short run, so in reality, domestic price level rarely adjusts in the same way that money supply increases, but price level do not adjust in the same level in the short run. So the model implies that exchange rate is likely to overshoot its long run PPP path in the short run. So in the short run, what might happen? Currency might depreciate more. So with inflexible domestic prices in the short run, if we assume the short run price levels are inflexible, so an increase in the nominal money supply will result in a decline in domestic interest rate, because there will not be the price level will not be flexible enough in the short run. So there might be the scenario domestic interest rate goes down, and assuming the capital is highly mobile. So if capital is highly mobile and interest rate goes down, so money will flow out from the country where interest rate is low to the country where interest rate is high. So the decline in domestic interest rate will precipitate a capital outflow, and due to that capital outflow in the short run, currency will depreciate faster or depreciate more compared to what is described under the pure monetary model. So in the short run, it will cause domestic currency to depreciate below its new long run equilibrium price level. In the long run, once domestic nominal interest rate rises, the currency will appreciate and move to in line with what is predicted by the conventional monetary approach. So that is the modified version of the monetary model provided by John Bush.